Yes, there is a wall full of balls. There's just very few good ones out there. And again, a golf ball looks like a golf ball, doesn't necessarily is a golf ball.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Whole Story Podcast. Robbie and Jonathan here. Jonathan, for those that can't see, Jonathan is in Masters mode. He's got his pink Augusta Green Jackets,
I do.
pink and green Augusta Green Jackets hat on with the Azalea logo. It's looking like you're ready to walk out on the course.
I am fortunate enough this year that I've got 2 Monday badges coming my way, and I've already decided a long time ago that this was going to be my Monday at the Masters hat. I thought about getting something that says local, but this screams local, but only for those who know. It was a short little thing from our minor league baseball team, and it's a great hat. This is just a cool looking hat. So, yeah.
And for those interested and or concerned, he said 2 tickets, and Robbie is not the recipient of the other one.
I've got kids that have never been, so we're rotating through some children who are going to have their first Masters experience. Yeah,
I hope they appreciate it.
Unless they tick me off.
Years from now, they'll be like,
right,
I got to go then.
Unless they've got 2 weeks to make me upset, and then Robbie can be the fill-in for the afternoon.
Man, that's funny. That's funny. Well, today we had the privilege of talking with Tino Dietrich, the CEO and founder of SNYDER Golf USA. He brought incredible German engineering in the golf ball to the U.S. for golfers like us and you out there to check out. They're doing some really cool things in the golf ball space. Jonathan, what did you think about our conversation with Tino?
I thought one of the funniest things was the fact that Schneider actually means Taylor, but apparently that one is already used in the golf world. So they had to just go to
made by Taylor Golf. Yes.
Right. They had to go to an Americanized version of Schneider. So yeah, I am 100% the guy on the show that knows nothing about golf, including how things are made and what that means. And so being able to talk about like why it's important to have a golf ball that fits you, what goes on inside of that golf ball, and how it may, because I still have a pretty bad swing, it may help my golf game. So anything that helps me get a little bit closer to not being angry every single time I hit a golf ball, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah. Well, it is a good chat. It's cool to hear just the history of companies, and we talk to a lot of companies and hear their origin stories. So it's really cool to hear somebody like Tino describe what happened long ago and then kind of how he's taken that and bringing it to a whole new market and saying, hey, here's something really good that you folks in America should check out. So great conversation with Tino talking about SNYDER Golf. Go to SNYDERGolfUSA.com, and it's SNYDER, and you can learn all about it. They'll have links in the show notes, but they're doing some cool things there, so be sure to check that out after you listen to this episode. I will also say we are trying to continue to grow this thing to help tell more stories about places and companies like SNYDER Golf. So do like and subscribe on whatever podcast platform or YouTube that you are on, because that helps. So
or all of them. Just go to all of them.
What's that?
Just go to all.
Go to all of them.
That finds too.
That's just true. Don't just pick one.
Right.
Do them all for sure. Do it all for sure. Jonathan, we are rocking some zero restriction outerwear. I've got a Beach Ready hoodie or a golf shirt on. Right. Yeah, looking good in our stuff from Summit Golf Brands.
These light zero restrictions are my go-to like daily wear. They're super thin, so even if it's 70, 80 degrees in the spring, you're not too hot, but you throw on a t-shirt or something underneath in the winter. Let's be honest, I'm not going outside in the winter, so it works out really well there too. So I love them, fit great. I wish I had 18 of them in different colors. I don't think they made 18 colors, but that's okay.
Well, you're colorblind, so they can just tell you that. And
that's true. They're all just black.
Yeah, for real. But no, we appreciate working with those guys. If you go to any of the websites, Bedrati, Zero Restriction, Fairway, and Green, you can use Best Ball 20 and save 20% off some great stuff there. So yeah, let's get to our chat talking about SNYDER Golf Balls with Tino Dietrich. Y'all enjoy. So today we are joined by Tino Dietrich with SNYDER Golf. Tino, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, you mentioned you are in Miami now, but that's not a Miami accent. So you obviously from Germany originally.
Yeah, I'm from the northern part of Germany. Hamburg is my home.
Okay. Very nice. We always, we will get to the SNYDER Golf thing. We love hearing about the cool things that people are doing in the game, but we like hearing stories about people. And we want to hear your story. Like, when did you get involved with golf? When did you start playing?
How much time do we have?
As long as you need.
I'm trying to come up with the elevator pitch version of it. So I used to play field hockey. I know it's not that super popular in the States, but I was competitive, and then I switched schools when I was like 16, and I used to also play golf. But when I switched schools, I went to the southern part of Germany, and there was no hockey. So I kind of thought, what else can I do? I wasn't good at tennis or basketball or anything, or even soccer, even though that's super popular. So I focused on golf. And what happened is there were all these competitions, and kids were traveling around, school competition and this and that, but not so much in golf. And again, we're talking like 40 years ago, believe it or not. And so I had that crazy idea, and I said, let's do this. Let's start a school competition. So that's what I started. I had to find a sponsor, so I called the companies that were involved in sponsoring golf. In this case, Audi. And I think I called that guy like 20 times a day. It was, no mobile phones 40 years ago, no email. So I turned the local post office into my office, and I bribed the woman that worked there with chocolate to take calls for me and write down notes. and believe it or not, at a certain point, they accepted, and they said, whatever it is you want from us, just stop calling, and we do it. And that's how the Audi Cup was born. And today that is the German Amateur Championship, because at that time there was no amateur championship. There was nothing in golf. So what happened is about 2 years later, I received a cease and desist letter from the German Golf Association, DGV, and they said, look, it's great what you're doing, but you can't do that, because amateur and professional, and, you got to follow regulations. It's kind of the PGA of Germany, right? So, and I was 16. I was like, okay, tough luck. And, they were like, we can sue you or you can hand it over. And I was like, let me think about it. Okay. So, and today that's the amateur championships in Germany. And I mean, SNYDER is actually the official golf ball of the German Golf Associations. Hey, and even the people that, the woman that worked at the DGV today, her son is actually heading the youth department at the DGV. So, you know how it is.
Joke's on them. You got your payback with the official sponsorship. Right?
Yeah, I know.
Did you hire the lady from the post office to be your executive assistant?
No, I think she was about to retire.
Oh,
she was
okay.
pretty old. She loved the chocolate, though.
Her last name was SNYDER, though. It's weird.
Exactly.
Well,
It was, wild days, right?
All right. So you started amateur golf competitions and obviously love playing golf. How did SNYDER Golf Balls come about then? Where did that idea come from? What's the origin story there?
Yeah, so the founder's name is Schneider, which really translates into Taylor, but I guess Taylor was taken already, so they
you didn't
decided
want another letter?
made by a tailor, maybe.
Yeah.
But they came up with SNYDER as an internationalized version of Schneider. But what happened is, in Germany, if you want to play golf, which was, even 40 years ago, you have to be a member of the German Golf Association. I mean, there are other ways to do it, but I would say people who play golf in Germany, probably 90% or 85% are a member of the German Golf Association. So you're registered and you have your handicap and so on and so forth. And you get a card, which just looks like a credit card, but you can also upload it digitalized in your wallet. And there's the SNYDER Balls on every card because of being the official ball. So what happened is life kicks in. You stop playing golf. I used to be in UC at Syracuse. I was on the golf team there. And but then you get busy, so I stopped playing. And then in COVID, I got very, very, very sick, and I ended up in the ICU, and I barely made it out there, but I had to. I was like way overweight, and the doctors told me, "Hey, you got to lose some weight." And I lost 90 pounds, which, they didn't tell me to lose 90 pounds. They told me, like, "Hey, lose like 10 or 20." And I went full in,
Yeah.
like, okay, let's do this right. So, but one thing, because I couldn't really walk long and this and that, so I, golf, and it was COVID. I mean, you couldn't do a lot of things anyway, right? So golf was one of the very few things, like so many people, I got back into golf. So, but one thing that really, being in golf for so long, and then I had this pause, and I bought, new clubs and obviously some balls. And I was like, man, that really is expensive. So I thought, like everybody else, I'm super smart. So I bought the super mint and the triple mint conditioned lake balls and so on and so forth. But, for what it was, still expensive. And then I was in Germany for treatment, and I received a promotion email from the Golf Association, and there was SNYDER Golf Balls. And I said, you know what? Let's try them. I've tried pretty much everybody out there, Vice and Encore and blah, blah, blah. So I tried these balls, and I was like, man, those balls are really cool. So I ordered more to take them home in my suitcase. But, suitcase got a little heavy, I so I ordered, when I got back, I ordered more, and the package didn't arrive. So I called the company, and I was like, hey, you lost my package. And the guy who picked up was like, you know what? I'm in the warehouse. I cannot help you. I'm just the owner, but I'll find someone. And I said, well, since I have you on the phone, and we started talking for like, I don't know, an hour and a half, him in the warehouse and me on the phone in the car. And I said, man, I can't get them in the US, and so on and so forth. So I flew back. I finally got the package, flew back, and had this idea. And I said, why not, these are so good. Americans need these balls. I mean, I did it for myself, to be super selfish. I thought I need these balls, but it doesn't make sense to start a company just for yourself. It's like I'm not the president, but I'm also the client, right? And that old ad, if you remember, maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was me. So this is how it all started, the DGV and me and this and that. So it's a funny story. And he started it with his kids, and I started it with my son here in the US. So it's a father-son story.
So this is just
Well,
a big story for you to get golf balls. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
I mean,
we've
and I still
we've
need
tried
them.
to
I'm always happy.
we've tried to convince our wives that we need golf balls, but they've never said, okay, let's start a golf ball company. So what made you decide to jump into that big lake? Because it's not like you can't go to a store and find an entire a wall of balls. And to be
Yep.
honest, I have no idea which one I'm supposed to grab other than the one that's on sale, right? Like normally, and probably not yellow, but that's just because I'm colorblind. So, like, what?
Not on purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, not on purpose. I just can't find it if it's there in green grass.
I
So,
hear you.
what made you decide to take that leap? Because that's not an easy place to be, an easy space to be in.
Not at all. Here is what I see. I take myself and maybe the people that I spoke to. I think everybody, as I mentioned before, I did it too. You buy the lake balls, the used balls, but really, and I didn't know that either until I really start to look into it. You shouldn't play a used ball. It's a random object. You can take a walnut if you want to, right? It's the same kind of idea. it's a random object. You can take a stone for that purpose, lake balls. After just a few hours, balls take on water, so they're gone. It's like that. There's no pull out the paddles and do a reanimation, stand back. No, it's not going to happen. Ball is gone. Those are out of the equation. And yes, I agree with you. Then people go and buy whatever is on sale. But just because a golf ball looks very much similar from the outside, there's a lot going on in the inside. And you wouldn't do that with a tennis ball. Or I often say, if you buy a nice car, you wouldn't just go and buy used tires. Or you have a summer and you buy winter tires, or winter and summer tires. You know how that could end up. And there are a few areas where I say used is just not a good idea. I always say, go on a shooting range. Somebody hands you a used bullet. You go like, nah, thanks. A used toothbrush, nah, thanks. Used golf ball. It's pretty much the same idea. So that part is big business. And it's just because people are not educated. So, but if you start to educate yourself and you say, don't do that, don't pick up a ball that you found there in the woods, So that's one part of the equation. The other part is that you have all these premium brands. And yes, there is a wall full of balls. There's just very few good ones out there. And again, a golf ball looks like a golf ball, doesn't necessarily is a golf ball. Some of them are really bad, bad, bad. You shouldn't play them. And in addition, your game is different than mine, is different than, Tom, Dick, and Harry's. So educate yourself, understand if your swing speed, people like Titus Pro V1, because Scotty plays it. And I'm like, well, first, you're not Scotty. Second, he's not going to go into a PGA Superstore and grabs a dozen of, hey, I got to play the Masters in an hour. Give me just a dozen of those Titus. But people are like, really? Like, yeah. Basketball, those guys who run around in whatever shoe they have, that's not the shoe they bought at FootJoy or Foot Locker or whatever it is that, you buy your shoes at. And once you start thinking about all that, it all starts to make sense. And I understand that everybody says that, but we really have nice balls. We really have nice balls. And I think the price that we're offering them at is highly competitive. So if I can provide a solution to a real problem, because people buy, the $600 putter, the magic driver, then they take lessons, then they do that, and then they screw it all up for $1.50 on a golf ball. I don't get it. And then you're like, oh, but my pro recommend. Well, your pro is on the payroll of, XYZ. So of course he recommends that. And I went to so many ball fittings. The guy is so bored. He's not even looking at the stats and you should play the XYZ. And I'm like, why? Well, it's a good ball. It fits you. I'm like, why? Well, it just fits you. It's like, duh.
Well,
Yeah.
so provide some education on that side. So obviously, again, you can see a whole wall of balls. I think
Yeah.
there's 8,000 websites where you can do a ball fitting, but talk through what it means, because it sounds like there's something structurally different based on your golf game that fits. So
Yes.
since there is an inside, if you cut a ball in half, which I'd cut off my finger if I tried to do that. So
Yeah.
if you cut a ball in half, and let's say I have a swing speed that's typically over 100 miles an hour. Someone else that's, 60, 70 years old might be 85 miles an hour. What's
Yeah.
the inside of that ball difference look like, and why is that important?
So the best way to describe it is you take a tennis ball and a racquetball, right? And you squeeze both. There is a difference, right? The tennis ball is more squishy, and that's the compression. That's number one. How hard is a ball? How soft is a ball? Just to go from the very basics, there's a lot that goes into a golf ball, believe it or not. The material, the dimples, you name it, the spin rate. But let's stick to compression for a second. When you hit that ball and you refer to swing speed, there's an energy transfer happening between you or your club and the ball. Now, if your swing speed is not very high and you hit a hard ball, the energy has not such a good chance to transfer from your club into the ball, which means you don't control the ball. which means also anything that you do is not as forgiving, right? And a good way to look at this too is you take a hard ball and a softball and you drop them on the floor. And you see how a hard ball doesn't bounce as high as the softball, right? Because of
Really?
the energy transfer, right? So, and people see that in putting because putting is a great example where your swing speed probably is like Scotty Scheffler's, right? You may not be as accurate, although I think he's not such a great putter, but whoever is a great putter out there, you just take them, you know? So, but that all makes it all, people go like, I never thought about that. No, I didn't either. But that explains what I just told you. So lower swing speed, softer ball, better energy transfer. And what happens with our balls, you talked about cut them open. We show them. We have them on the website cut open because our process, our what's called the German design standard, really makes sure that every ball is highly, highly, highly top quality in terms of how that whole inside looks like. Because the energy transfers from the outside into the core where it is stored. And if it doesn't transfer, you know, straight into the ball, what happens is the energy goes into some corner of the ball. And then you think you shanked it, but maybe it's just the ball that just took the energy you transferred into the ball in a wrong way, which is a lake ball, as an example. Because
No,
the humidity
I shanked it.
destroys the inside.
I
You can
shanked
also
it
shank it, but
into the
then it
lake.
shanks it. It's like a turbo shank.
It took the energy from the hosel and put it
Right,
into the golf ball.
exactly.
But you get my point, the
Yeah.
fade, the hook, and this and that. And,
Yeah.
a good player who wants to really make sure that you can manipulate your shot in terms of spin, in terms of make it stop on the green. But if you don't have that energy transfer as optimized as possible for your game, you don't get nothing done, period.
Well, you mentioned the German design standards. So, how has, I mean, everybody, when we think of something that's German made, you think of like the BMWs and
Yeah.
just incredible
Let's make
machines.
sure we
Yeah.
mention
Audi.
Audi.
Exactly.
Audi. Gotta
Audi
say
for
Audi.
sure. And Snyder
I
Golf
owe them
Balls.
that.
Yeah, but you think of like really high standards, really great made. So how have y'all taken those things and put it into something I'd say simple like a golf ball? Like what are y'all doing that's different than others that are making golf balls?
You see, first of all, of course, a golf ball can be simple, but the more complex ones, we're one of the very few companies that have, believe it or not, 2 5-piece balls. And I always say those 2 5-piece balls are like a Ducati, or like an AMG or like a Porsche Turbo. And if you just started driving, if you're right now on a scooter, you shouldn't just move over to a Ducati. I mean, you can, but don't be surprised if it ends
Good
bad.
luck.
So, yeah. And that explains the 5-piece balls we have. It's a highly complex product. Layer by layer has to be built in a way that it's done right. And that differentiates the boys from men. And the core in itself, and what people often don't know is that the whole energy transfer discussion and research was expedited by what happened in sneakers, because the material you have in sneakers and the whole research in terms of how to make sure that when you run on a road or something and you want to protect your joints, how to buffer that bounce and whatnot, that really also happened in golf. So a lot of these companies that do that are involved in the same areas. So a lot of that research spilled over, and we're based in that, actually not in the northern region. Our headquarters are in the southern region, right next to Stuttgart, which is where Porsche, Mercedes is, and so on and so forth. So the founder, Mr. Schneider, is, I always say, he's a little bit like the guy from Back to the Future, the crazy professor, just not the long hair, but he's as accurate as you can get. He's very German, and he takes pride in his product, and I always say it looks like he polishes every freaking dimple on every golf ball. It's like, but I think that is a huge difference, because he says, whatever carries my name, I really want to make sure that it is 100%. He's not even settling for 90. And like, if you go and say, hey, you know what? He's like, nope, Can't do. Can't do. You see it in the packaging, you see it in the ball itself, you see it with everything the company does. And he takes pride, you know, because he says people out there, they deserve that. DTC, people say like, oh, it has to be cheap. Well, no, it doesn't. It has to be in a way that whatever you do there, it's best value, high quality, best price, period. And not medium quality, best price or low price and, does its job. And I think a good company that you can refer to is Harry's. They also bought a German blade company for their razor blades.
Very nice. So how is the word getting out about SNYDER golf balls, right? I know obviously you have made a huge, I would say, investment because it's your time, it's your livelihood, it's what you
Yep.
do with bringing the word to the U.S. So what is the strategy of getting the goodness of SNYDER in front of golfers?
Well, I mean, first of all, we do everything we can to, get the ball into people's hands. So we do, we pay close attention to that because we see a retention rate of over 50% in Germany, which means everybody who buys a ball, you know, many of them come back, which in any industry is very high, which also tells you that the quality is good, period. People really, once they found their ball, they stick to it. It's almost like toothpaste, there's no reason. And I understand that some people go by price, but to enjoy the game, once you find what works for you, people are really, once you really find it and you see the difference, you will understand what I'm talking about. So it is essential for us to make sure that people can get their hands on the ball. That's number one. And number two is obviously social media and anything around, that angle, call it digital, whatever you want to call it, is what we do. And whatever opportunity we can get to present the ball is what we do. We're just a year, in the US now, with a pretty
Oh,
new
wow.
company and we see phenomenal responses. I mean, I think we have like an average 4.7 or 4.8 star review across the board from Amazon to Shopify.
That's great. Are you in green grass locations, or is that not where you're at right now?
Very,
Just in
very, very few. And the reason is simple. If you put it out there and people are not educated, which goes hand in hand with what I said earlier about,
right.
take pride and make sure that people really understand what this is. Because if you have a swing speed of 47, you said you have 100, but if you have like, I
Mhm.
don't know, 60, I don't want you to play our Ducati, right? You better
Right.
off with a soft plus. So the people in the stores, they are like, whatever, buy whatever, like you don't want that. So
Yep.
once we figure out the process to really also make sure that people have a more educated experience when it comes to purchasing a ball, I think that's when we push for the next level.
When it overseas, obviously it's been around for a while in Europe,
Mm.
and you said it's
Yeah.
being used as the official golf ball. Does that transfer over where maybe there's a professional that's coming over that's German that says, I'd really like to use this golf ball instead of Nike or Bridgestone or whatever that might be?
We have a few on the DP World Tour who play the ball. You see, was people like, "Oh, what tour player plays your ball?" And I'm like,
Right.
it wouldn't really matter because your game is not even, the worst tour player is probably still better than you are. But, you know, and then if I ask you, like, who won TPC? Like, who won
Right.
TPC? Young. Okay.
Uh,
What ball did he play? People are like,
a white one, I believe.
yeah, exactly. Good call. You see, so getting involved in that, you really have to pay for marketing dollars that at the end the consumer pays for. That's what people don't understand. And
Right.
don't get confused. We have a lot of people who really like the ball, and we actually develop our balls and our I call it the Swiss Army knife of balls called the Ace. What happened is we had a few people on the DP tour and we have a ball called the Tour. It's super spinny. And, they said, hey, we can play this and we can drill a hole into the green and find oil. And I said, that's great. They can really make it spin. It's crazy. Like, however, because of the spinny, then we lose a little distance. So how about taking the Pro X and the Tour and find something in between. And so we send out the Pro X and the Tour on a date night, and here's the ace. That's the baby, so to say.
That's a great way to describe it. Jonathan and I have both done the online fitting because we're
Yeah.
fascinated by what something's going to tell us we need. I'm on an eight handicap, Jonathan 15, 16, somewhere in that
15,
range right now. And
Yeah.
and so it does a good job, I think, of at least kind of narrowing down, hey, here's where you should go. So is that what you're trying to do? Like encourage people
Yeah.
to come
And
to
more and more and more. I think I call it edutainment, right? People don't want to get lectured. They want to have a good experience. I'm not saying that ball fitting is great, but at least it's something. And we also, when you buy a ball and you really don't like it, we send you a sleeve of a different model based on the feedback that you give us. And you ask about what ball should I play? Look, we have scratch golfers, we have tour professionals, and I just met with someone from the senior tour, and we had a long discussion because there was someone else from the Conferry tour, and so we were sitting together, and so they ended up playing two different balls, even though everybody had a different goal. He's like, I'm looking for this, I want that. So there's no one size fits all. People think that, but maybe you want, which is why we have these 2 5-piece balls. And you would say, oh, somebody who plays this well, they should probably play the Pro X. Believe it or not, those two did not go for the Pro X. One went for the Ace and one went for the Pro. So, because one said, I need this more than that, and I like that feel of the irons better, and. And it comes also down to putting, which a lot of people underestimate. People go like, drive, how far can I hit it? And I say, well, there's one club that you probably need on every hole, which is the putter. So try and putt with the ball too. Don't look if you can hit it 280 or 310 or whatever it is that you want to hit it with your driver, perfect. But how is the wedge? How's the putter?
Is
the
that
short
because
game is really where you feel it because you want to be able to control the ball, but knowing that your typical putting stroke and kind of your feel is going to execute the way you want, I can really understand that for sure. Jonathan wants to know how it putts from like 100 yards.
that was my next question, actually. Is there some sort of feel? Yeah, I've eliminated my short game because it's so bad. So I just start putting from bunkers.
Just go. Brains and regulation.
I'm more likely to putt from a bunker than anyone you've ever met. I'm 100% gonna putt if I'm within 20 yards and there's not too much in front of me. And I'll be honest, a little humble brag here. I'm pretty good at it. Like I've got some good. I've gotten some up and downs that were pretty impressive from the bunker that no one expected. Just a little top spin, and you can get all sorts of things out of a bunker.
Even though I'm not the ball fitting system, and it's not, I'm not the mastermind behind it, I probably think you should play a Tour or an Ace and try those. You probably like those.
Yeah, as long as it takes care of the hard slice to the woods. I would say it would be.
It's interesting because let me just say something, because we have another thing called stable ball response. So what I talked about earlier is the way the energy is transferred into the ball and then distributed, because the balls are built the way they are built or designed the way they are designed, it is actually more forgiving if you play the right ball. Now it gets technical in terms of what material is used and, but that matters a lot, because we were laughing about it, and it does. And you said control around the green. People don't really, all they think about is driver and let me hit a driver and a driver.
Yeah.
If you putt with a driver from 50 yards out, it will give you a little bit of bump. It's actually, it's a little trick I've got in the bag.
You don't really need badges, do you?
I'm committed to putting from everywhere.
Yeah.
I will have to say, personally, And this is how I've probably decided this is the right ball, is because I'm a huge Top Gear fan and I've watched them for decades now. And the only thing running in the back of my head is, why did this work so well? And every single one of them say, well, it's German. It has to.
Don't doubt it.
There's an episode in my head of them where they had these race cars or whatever, and that James was in an Audi, and the paint was ruined on every single car except for the Audi. And they're like, James, why is your Audi fine? He said, it's German. That's how it's done.
There's something to it, right?
There is something to it, 100%.
Yep. Well, tell us, we talked about the ball fitting and stuff, but a couple
Yeah.
other things that kind of stood out to me. You do academic programs and this thing called co-branded balls. So tell us about what that is like for like companies that want to do advertising and stuff. And I think it's on the Ace and the Tour ball that basically they can say, hey, it's the ABC company ball, or how does that work?
Yeah. So what happened is and I mean, many companies do the logo balls, so like Happy Birthday, Bob, or whatever, if the name is too long, it might be, you have to
Yeah.
spread it out to two balls. But in all jokes aside, so we're the official ball of the Porsche Cup. So we did the whole Porsche packaging and the balls and everything. And because of our affiliation with the German Golf Association, we did more and more and more. So we're working with insurance companies, banks, but also with golf courses. And what happens is in Germany, a lot of the local savings banks and whatnot, they put their logo onto balls to support the purchase. So it's kind of an advertorial, if you want to say so. That's how we really came up with that. What we don't have in Germany, what you have over here, for example, you have universities branding their balls, right? High schools, high school teams, and because sports in Germany is not as crazy as it is over. It is crazy too, and it starts to spill over, but the whole environment in Germany is a little different. So, but the idea, the concept is the same. So we work with companies. We did it here with charities too, where they find a company, they're looking for a ball, raise awareness, yada, yada, yada. So yeah, that's what we do.
Very nice. Well, Jonathan and I have been doing this one thing, and I want to quiz you. We've been doing this thing this year where so we obviously do this podcast and we do some other social content and videos. And one of our guests on one of our roundtables said, I want you guys to track the number of golf balls that y'all lose, because has anybody ever tracked, average, let's say 8 and 15, 16 handicaps? Have you tracked the number of golf balls you lose? So I want to quiz you. What would you say an 8 and a 16 handicap? How many holes can you play with one golf ball before you lose it? Because we've got stats at least through the first half of the year, or the first 2.5 months of the year.
I wish it was half. I've lost enough balls that I wish it was half.
That lasts for a year.
It's
It's the budget, right? It almost sounds like the House of Representatives discussing the budget.
Yeah.
It's March.
It's so embarrassing.
So I mean, of a 16 handicap, how many holes do you think they can play before they lose a golf ball?
I think a 16 handicap probably on a round loses 3 to 4 balls.
Okay. Yeah. Right now, Jonathan is
That's
keeping
right
a ball for every he loses a ball every 7.4 holes.
Okay.
I would like to point out 90% of the time I lose 2 balls on one hole, and then I go I go the rest of the round.
Hey, it happens to the best of us.
Oh, and
Johnson, come on.
I'd like to apologize to my wife.
Been
She
there.
experienced my 9-hole debacle on her anniversary. I lost 7 balls in 9 holes on a course that I play all the time. Her comment was,
They're
well,
still
at least
married, don't worry.
She said, at least I know your other family doesn't play golf, because I've gone so much. It's like, if you're cheating on me, they don't play golf.
What?
I love it.
How about an 8 handicap? How often do you think? How many holes can someone get through?
I'd say 8 to 9.
All right. Well, right now I'm losing one every 13.3 holes. So
Robbie's better than an 8, though. He's been down to a 5.
No.
Sandbagger.
Yeah,
no, definitely not.
Vanity index.
Definitely not. Well, it happened.
But
We
yeah,
played in
I
Florida.
hear you.
We played in Florida, and one course had my number. I deposited many into the water.
That was we were literally just finding balls in the woods at that point. We're like, we just
Yeah.
don't care. Let's just
Yeah.
survive this.
It's
And
an
sometimes it just
interesting
sticks to you.
experiment. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are rounds and rounds, you know. I mean, I don't know. Look, my son the other day came home, and I think he shot like a 75 or 76 or something, and he's like, "Yeah, I figured it out. I changed this." And I looked at him and I said, "I'm now playing a little longer than you are. Not a lot, but you know, been there, done that. So enjoy as
Yeah.
long as it lasts." And he's like, "Nope, I figured it out." I'm like, "Okay, trust
Those
me."
are the most
next
dangerous
day,
words in golf.
Most dangerous words in
I
golf.
figured it out.
I'm like, "Man, I don't know."
That should be the logo on a golf ball. Figured it out.
Yeah. Well, Jonathan does sales training and consulting, and I
Yeah.
had the idea to put on the side of a golf ball, like, "You suck at golf, be better at sales," or something like that. and,
Right.
like, call Jonathan. So
But you know, I'm also after a certain amount of holes, you know, a golf ball should last around, and that's one thing that people tell us is the quality of our balls is just so nice because they don't scuff that much and this and that. I mean, of course, if you hit a cart path and so on, you know, depends on how rough it is, but you know, after one round of 18 holes, you should swap the ball. You know, if you're not if it's not already in the water.
If it's
John,
not
so
already somewhere.
referring
in
to
the
you.
woods.
yeah, let it retire to a good life on a shelf and not in the bottom of a pond. For
I
sure.
like the Jonasons though.
Yeah. Yep. Well, you know, Tino, this has been great, man. We let's start wrapping up with some fun stuff. What is the story of your most memorable golf shot?
It wasn't mine.
That's
I
fine.
tell you
It's okay.
that. It
Yeah.
was my son's. So we went to Peppel for the second time, and we played Spyglass and par three. It's the hole that Rory had a hole in one a couple of months later. So we're there for his birthday. He just turned 21 a few weeks earlier, and boom, believe it or not, he has a hole in one. Wait, he played the SNYDER ball. We didn't have many at that time, you know, so we kept it like a diamond. So he played that hole, and believe it or not, goes in. And the reason why I mean, first of all, it's a hole in one, Spyglass, what else, you know, but we came down to the lodge and people were waving at us. I'm like, how fast can news travel? And so we walked into the bar and everybody was like, "Hey, Casper," that's my son's name, you know. Oh, that's not good news. And the bartender's like, "You know that you could have insured yourself, you know." I'm like, "Now you're telling me that?" And he's like, "Well, you should have done that last year because we had a kid just a couple of months ago, and the dad didn't have to pay drinks for everybody. It was just chocolate milk for everyone." You know, like, nah. So yeah, I remember that probably for the rest of my life.
Yeah. What a great day.
story.
What a great day.
I will say though, I think that is one of the silliest traditions in golf. Like, if you hit a hole in one, you have to buy for everybody else. Like, everybody should be buying for that person.
Right.
Yeah.
It's their day, not your day.
Or me as a dad.
Right.
That's true. That's true. You already paid for Spyglass, so like, come on,
Exactly.
somebody else cover this tab. Very nice.
Well, another thing we like to do is what we call the quick nine. So just a little back and forth. What is the favorite course that you've ever played?
Spanish Bay.
All right. What course is at the top of your bucket list?
There's so many, but TPC is probably one of them.
That'd be a lot of fun.
What
could you hit it like 385 like Cam Young did on the last hole?
Of course.
Just
with three.
A ball.
Yeah, with a three wood.
strokes.
And then putt it from there, right, Jonathan?
Yeah.
Well, I take Jonathan with me for that.
That's right. What is your favorite course that no one knows about?
Probably one of the courses I played in Vietnam. We were in Da Nang, in the middle of Vietnam, and they got some great golf over there.
Really?
There are like a handful of courses we played, and there was one was better than the other.
That's really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's your favorite course in Germany? This is a bonus question.
I have two. both in Bavaria. One is called Margaretenhof at Lake Tegernsee. And I also like what's called Bad Wiessee. It's really next to it. And those are really two very, very nice courses in the Alps. Really nice and gorgeous views over the Alps and the lakes. And woof.
Sounds perfect.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Who would be in your dream foursome?
I definitely would love to have Bernhard Langer in there. I clearly Ballesteros. I would love because just
He'd
such
be
a
fun.
gentleman. Maybe John Rahm, because he has this great saying: "You have to have a memory of a goldfish." So I would like to play that round with him to learn that, and maybe Lee Trevino.
Love it.
That's
Great
an eclectic group right there.
Yeah.
What is your favorite snack at the turn?
When I can get one is a chicken wrap, a chicken Caesar wrap, or I don't know why, but it's for me, it's a golf thing.
That's a good golf thing.
Yep.
All right. Favorite golf course logo?
Great question. Probably Pebble, just because it's so iconic.
Yeah.
It's so many memories and stuff like that. Even though it's not my favorite course, I mean, it's great. Don't get me wrong, but I think the history carries more and weighs more than anything.
Yeah. All right. So you visit a lot of places. What has been your favorite pro shop purchase?
That is a good one. Wow. I mean, I buy logo balls, even though they are not SNYDER yet. Wherever I go, I buy myself and my son a logo ball. So
Yeah.
that's what I do wherever I go, just to keep a memory. I have a lot of them, obviously.
I was about to say, how
Right.
many of those do you have?
I have to count them. I would say over 100.
That's great.
That's good
Yeah.
memories. All right. This question is, what is one thing golfers should do?
One thing they really should do is learn about what ball they should play. I don't understand. It's the most underrated piece of equipment in everyone's bag because they've got so many used balls and lake balls and whatnot in there. They should get rid of all of that.
And it's the one thing you have to use every single time you play golf.
And they pay so much attention to everything. They got all these bells and whistles. We got an ad out, showing a golf ball with bells and whistles and our ball, and we just ball, right? So I don't get it. People pay so much attention to shaft and putter and this and that, and then they screw it all up with the thing that they play that thing with. I don't get it.
Shout out to my buddy Sherv if he's listening to this. He pays attention to everything, including the length of his shorts, because he usually wears his wife's shorts. That's an internal
Yeah.
joke there, but he'll get it. But he just uses whatever used balls he can find online. So come on,
Yeah.
Sherv. Let's get this right. All right. Last question here. Finish this sentence. The best part of golf is?
The best part of golf is the memories you can shape when playing with great people.
Absolutely.
What an answer.
That's
Man,
a good
that's
one.
a great way to wrap it up there. Tino, this has been a lot of fun, man. Tell everybody, and we'll include links in the show notes for sure,
Yeah.
but tell everybody where they can find out more about SNYDER and get some golf balls on order.
SNYDERGolfUSA.com. SNYDER golf. If you can't spell that, then probably wrong.
Yeah.
And USA, I mean, come on. .com.
Yes. We'll have links for that for your social channels, things like that. But this has been a lot of fun. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, for Tino and Jonathan, this is Robbie, and y'all have been listening to another episode of the Whole Story Podcast.